All right, well, the holiday season means family, and I had the idea to bring in some brothers who mean a lot to LSU football over the years during their history. It is Todd Kinchen, Brian Kinchen. Guys, thanks for coming down.
Good morning.
Glad to be here, man. Glad that somebody wants to hear me talk.
That's what he always says.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
The fact that anybody wants to hear what I have to say. But how many years in the NFL for you?
14.
14 years in the NFL, and you snapped
Yes,
the game-winning field goal, of course, in the Super Bowl that was played between the Patriots and Carolina Panthers in Houston.
Yes, sir.
2003 season.
Super Bowl 38 at the age of 38. So that's when I figured out that the Super Bowl is as old as I was. So.
And we could do a whole 1 hour on that. But you were teaching. You were out of football.
Yes, sir.
You were done. Get a call from Bill Belichick, right?
Yep. Well, Scott Pioli, the player personnel, and on Bill's behalf. So, yeah, very lucky.
And you joined the team late that year, and
yeah, it was week 16, game 15, and they had 2 left to finish out the season, and then we had three playoff games. We got a bye the first week. They were 12. I think we won 12 games straight. They'd won 10 straight before I showed up. So. Yeah, very lucky to get that call. I actually thought about not going because I had been sent home from 3 tryouts prior, and I was like, I don't know. And everybody said, well, you need to go. And one of the kids was telling me they're picked to win it all, and I was like, I would really regret not going. So I decided to go and went and tried out, and somehow they decided to sign me.
An exciting Super Bowl. Jake Delhomme was the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers.
That's right.
He had a great game against Tom Brady. Do you remember watching that when your brother's about to snap the ball?
Absolutely. I watched it from the stadium. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought 15, 17 tickets to that game. That was a pretty penny for those tickets.
Yeah.
Glad to spend it though, because I wouldn't have been there otherwise. But yeah, all the family that I could get there was there. So.
Well, we know it because you're local and everything, but that's a case of do something right, nobody remembers. Do something wrong, nobody forgets. If that snaps off the mark, everyone would have known. Brian Kinchen.
Well, there were a few snaps off the mark in that game. Thank goodness it wasn't the one that mattered. So.
Well, you hurt your hand or something, didn't you?
Well, I cut my hand in the pregame. We don't need to mention that.
So watching LSU football this year, Todd, they came off a couple of seasons that were subpar after the greatest season in college football history. What are you seeing out of LSU this year?
Well, I just love all the athletes that they have. I was wondering how it was going to be with the transition of the coach and bringing in a couple of players from the transport portal and all that. But as the season's gone on, they've gotten to know each other. And of course, our great quarterback has come into his own. He runs the ball a decent amount, but I think towards the end of the year, he's finding a way to be mobile and still look for his receivers downfield. And so it's been fun to watch him grow. Losing the first game, you know how everybody gets. We all got, bummed out, and we were worried about the Tigers, but they've come on lately. It's been nice.
You played for a coach who was disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
The win.
Very disciplined.
Curly Hall.
What coach isn't?
1940s discipline.
He tried to, beat you guys into submission and, make you tough and whatnot. The wins weren't there or whatnot. But it does seem like in this modern era that Brian Kelly has found the balance between giving players ownership of the team and then also having a structure and a plan and a way of getting this done.
Yeah, it seems that way. We've had, Les Miles was a little bit of that picture, a little fun-loving with the players, but he was also hard-nosed, though. And then Orgeron was very hard-nosed with the players in some sort. So it's been nice to see him come in and give them their freedom and let them be athletes as well, especially as quarterback. And I guess he knew what he was doing when he recruited him, having an athlete like that to be able to throw, and he's learned the offense and learned how to use his mobility to make plays as well.
Brian, you played for 3 coaches at LSU, right? I mean, you came in with Jerry Stovall, which led to Bill Arnsparger. Those 2 guys, not exactly sentimental, right? I mean, not exactly.
No. And the only caveat to having Archer, who took over as my senior year, which we lobbied hard for that, was that he was on staff. And so when you hire in staff, which I always say is the worst thing you can do, you kind of have a little more affection towards your head coach because you've known him as an assistant. And the assistants are vastly different than the head coach. And so I always say, in-staff hires are a no-no. Now, granted, I love Mike, but yeah, I had 3 coaches in 5 years, and we went to four bowl games, that's unheard of. Like, usually you're not going to bowl games and you're getting new coaches. But yeah, they were all vastly different. Arnsbarger coming from the NFL, much different than Stovall, who was really, really old school. His whole crew was old school. And then Archer was kind of our buddy, at least for us as seniors, because we had known him for so long as an assistant.
Yeah.
So vastly different approaches. But here's the deal about head coaches. As much as you made that comment earlier about finding a way, that doesn't exist internally. Internally, he's still calling the shots, and he's riding kids just as hard as any coach, because that's the job. And I was gone this weekend telling stories about Belichick and how much I love and hate him, because I love the fact he pushed me to find out what's in here. I mean, with his foot on my throat. But at the same time, he gave me a chance to play and to be able to discover that. Otherwise, had he not been that way, I would have never been able to figure out who I was as a player, as a man. And so that's just the job of a coach. So as much as we say player friendly, yeah, that's great and all, but the reality is, if he's not stepping on throats, things aren't getting done, and he's not keeping his job. So let's not get too far to that side thinking, it's all, party hats and ice cream cake and stuff. It's just not the way it is. You can't be successful if you don't.
Like you said with Belichick, he let you be the player you could be, but also being hard-nosed, and it seems like that's how Kelly is. He takes players on the sidelines and gives them the what for and yells at them and stuff, but he also lets them be and lets them grow. There's some coaches that try to put you in a box of what they want you to be instead of letting you grow.
Yeah, and he's got the players like Jaden Daniels who are coachable. That Jaden Daniels doesn't get his feelings hurt. He takes the coaching and tries to improve the next play, or whatever they're talking about.
There's no room for moping in football.
Yeah.
You moping, it's not gonna provide anything for anyone but bad results.
Well, and we start sounding like old people, and things are different today. But when you guys played, there's no Facebook, there's no Twitter, there's no social media.
Right.
There's no way to, because your feelings got hurt at practice today or after a game, to go on and complain about things and whatnot. Now he's got to kind of manage that a little bit, and then when people are watching his press conferences and he's just talking about the game and saying, we didn't do this well and we didn't do that well, somebody's going to say, oh, he threw me under the bus or whatever, So people, I don't want to say they're softer, but they are a little more sensitive these days. So
yeah, there are a lot more listeners online. You do have a platform to speak, but it's really not that. It's that people are out there listening to you. Whereas before, you're just talking to yourself, encouraging yourself. And so now there's so many more negative thoughts and negative things that can be said. Nobody's jumping online to encourage people. It'd be nice if 1,000 people got online and was like, it's okay, do this or do that, and constructive, but it's not real constructive, sadly.
Yeah. How do you see that?
Well, I'm living in the dark ages, man. I don't have any inkling of what anything is social media wise. I think obviously it's in my opinion, in the old school, it's not real. It's pretend. And so I choose to live in the real world, and so I don't really know how that's all affected by that. Now, granted, if I was head coach of LSU football, I'd have to figure that out, but I'm not, and so
yeah. Well, like you said, your old quarterback, Tommy Hodson, he told me one time, I think it's embarrassing to lay on the ground. Like, he said, if you get hit in your land, that's embarrassing.
Oh, I said it the other day. I said, I cannot remember ever having a trainer run out to the field to get me off the field. Like, I was like, what? Like, I don't care if I had a broken leg. I walked off the field. Like, it's like but now everybody's coming out, and guess what? Next play, they're back in, and you're like, wait a minute. That can't happen. You got to go out. You got to be done. if somebody's coming to pull you off the field. But
that used to be a soccer thing, totally a soccer thing, you know. Oh, he's dead. You know, then he's running 30 seconds later. But that is part of the strategy now, too, to slow down these teams that are running this up-tempo offense. You know, guys drop and they understand that they are faking it.
I get it. You see more coaches saying, stay down, stay down.
And I don't get the up-tempo offense. I mean, I can't say that. I mean, I just watched Mississippi State play a football game who it's like that. And I get up-tempo. But my thing is why does it have to be every series, every play? Why can't it be something as a change-up? Why? Because in the perfect theory, shorten the game, control the ball, control the clock, minimize possessions. That's always going to be the best way to win a football game.
Rest your defense.
So why pace all the time when the defense knows it's coming? When if you do it sporadically, they don't know it's coming, and then you have a chance of utilizing the pace to throw them off. But when they know it's coming, that really doesn't, to me, doesn't serve a purpose.
Todd, flashy wide receiver, exciting guy. Do you agree with that, or?
I'm the last person to ask about analysis, but as he was talking, I'm thinking to myself, you know, some brains work differently, and some coaches, every play is coach v. coach. What are they calling? What are they calling against that? Some coaches can operate better fast. And so if you're faster than the defense at making decisions, then you're going to have the advantage in an up-tempo offense. So it's all about the brain on any given play. Now, some coaches, Belichick or these deep thinkers, they want more time to analyze the whole thing. But some coaches might want to go faster for themselves psychologically.
Well, offensively, which I learned is that their play sheet is a lot smaller too because of the pace, and their playbook is a lot smaller. I learned even on Mississippi State's defensive side, the defense, which is so different, everybody who looks at it can't figure it out because everybody's always in a different spot. The coach told me that they don't know what they're doing until 3 seconds before the ball is snapped. So I'm like, well, if y'all don't know what you're doing 3 seconds before the ball snap, there's no chance the offense has any clue what you're actually doing. He says, yeah. He says, that's the beauty of it. So it works both ways, even offensively and defensively, to where if you're making adjustments that are late and quick, it's always keeping someone guessing. And not that any offense or defense is going to know what you're doing because of what you line up in, because obviously you're not going to do the same thing you did last week or the week before. But I just think, to me, when you have pace, it's great. But when you know it's coming, to me, it doesn't give you any advantage, I don't think. It just makes the game longer and more chance for your defense or less chance for your defense to rest, more chance for them to fail. But
interesting, good stuff. Let's talk about the tight end for LSU. This young man, Mason Taylor, who, me being a fan in the stands, or in the press box, my heart would be in my throat even thinking about I'm going to catch a 2-point conversion to beat Alabama, and if I don't, we lose.
Right.
You know, when you're in those moments, you're just muscle memory. You can't think about what's going on.
Well, that's the great thing about football. It's moving. It's not you don't. You know, it's like golf. You have to start from a standstill. You know, and you have to initiate action. But it's such a reactionary sport. I mean, I don't think there was ever even a thought that this kid would think I'm catching the football to win. I mean, it's just you're just doing what you've been taught to do, and I guess maybe the weight of that in the huddle. I don't know. I don't really think so, because I mean I know when the calls I've had where my number was up, I never went, oh my goodness, am I going to get man coverage? I was hoping for man coverage, because man coverage I'm great, because I'm going to beat you every time. Zone, it's a little bit different because I don't really know. I mean, I'm going to be open, is he going to throw it to me or not? But if it's man, I got a pretty good chance I'm getting the football. And so I don't know if there was a lot of pre-thought to it, and I would imagine most good athletes would probably not even go that place to think of the magnitude of the play.
Might have been good that he was too young. You know,
yeah.
Brand new.
Immaturity can pay off.
Think about it.
Yeah.
He didn't grow up on all this LSU, Alabama, Nick Saban stuff. You know,
exactly.
I'm just running. He called it an arrow route, and do it every day at practice.
A flat route, I thought, right? Just to the flats, right?
Yeah, just the flat. Yeah.
An arrow is different to me. Well, everything's called differently, and.
Well, the tight end position, when you played it,
right.
Big lumbering guy, you're going to block, right? Or those were the tight ends back then, right? You block. And
I was not big or lumbering. I was more lumbering, but I wasn't big. I was small.
Yeah.
I was always tiny.
No, you weren't. What are you, 6'5"?
I was 6'3", 227, and that's like you don't see guys like that even in college, even maybe high school. You don't.
But the position, you're not Wendell Davis, right? You're not going to be throwing the football a whole lot.
Believe me, there's many times that I wish I was, because every time they call that out right to Wendell, I'm like, Tommy, I'm wide open in the middle here. What's the deal? You're going to make a 40-yard throw to Wendell when you can make a 15-yard throw to me.
Well, you've talked about the infamous, I don't know if infamous is the right word, but the famous LSU-Ohio State tie, 13-13 in Tiger Stadium. Right. He threw the out. Wendell zigged when he should have zagged, or Tommy, whatever. They weren't on the same page. You were like, hey, I'm open. Throw it to me.
They would call it so much. I'm sitting there thinking, how does the opponent not know where this ball's going? And Tommy knows, and Wendell knows, and the OC knows. How does no one else know? Like, I know. Like, you're going to make that throw. And Tommy would tell me, he said, Brian, it's just an easier throw because I know where he's going to be, and I know how to deliver that ball. I don't even have to think about it. I'm like, yeah, but there's not much thought to the 12, 15-yarder right over the middle when I'm just sitting there going, hey, man, I'm camped out having a party.
You had a lot of running plays in the middle of all those throws, back then,
No, without a doubt.
They didn't throw the ball as much as they do now.
Well, that's what Tommy said. They thought just because I was putting up at the time, it was a lot. Whoa, we threw for over 2,000 yards this year,
Yeah.
That's right.
It was like, but we still ran the ball 65% of the time, is what he said.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And then the personnel was the same 11 guys in and out. It wasn't this specialized, this guy comes in and all that.
Yeah, right. It's very specialized.
Tell me about these wide receivers, Todd. I mean, you were very electric at the position. What's it like to watch these guys today? There's so many of them that they can throw to.
Well, I love watching the offense. I love watching today's modern offense, in college or pro, the way they throw the ball. The amount of receivers that have caught balls was impressive. I was looking at the stat sheet, and the top two guys, Butte and, of course, Neighbors, and then they played great. It's fun to watch them.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch them.
Jack Besh hasn't had the year he wanted this year, but some of the catches and some of the weaving and whatnot, they compared him to you sometimes. He reminds me of Todd Kinchen a little bit.
I played with his uncle, Brett. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, he's exciting to watch. Yeah, they're trying to balance that big tight end with that kind of a slot tight end, and so they're doing a good job. They wish they could use him more probably, but the offense is a little bit different than it was last year.
You talked about the quarterback too, Jaden Daniels. I would have to say he's the MVP of the team. I mean, they are not where they are today if he's not the quarterback.
There's no doubt about that. The amount of rushing that he's done, and like I said earlier, the way he runs with the ball, but now he's starting to look downfield. Reminds me of Joe Burrow. Like, he did well coming on at the end of his last year. The way he was able to be mobile and look for receivers downfield. He's been the person on offense.
Brian, what do you think of him? Because, I mean, back in your day, it's drop back. The scrambling quarterback. There were some, right? But, I mean, these days you got to have, it seems like you got to have both.
You got to be careful asking him this question.
Well,
he's very passionate about this.
Well, yeah, you look at the highest level of the sport and how it's played. The dual threat quarterback is non-existent, and so
you talk about the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I just know that especially at that level, and even the collegiate level, you're going to have games that are going to be close, and the guy behind center at some point has to be able to make the throw. And it might not be the one in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. It might even not even be the fourth quarter. But there's going to be throws that he's going to have to make. And so, I know that if I was a coach, I would arrow the same way towards the kid who can get you out of problems when when one or two progressions not there, where he can pull the ball down and he can go. That's just survival for the coaches to be able to have that guy that can do that. And I understand that. I get it. But the pocket passer, to me, is just when it comes down to it, when you get into that red zone, those windows get tight, and play action will help you. It'll increase the size of those windows down there, but you got to be able to make those throws. And the more comfortable a quarterback is of pulling the ball down, the less likely he's going to be able to make that throw. And that's just what concerns me with the dual threat quarterback. And I'm not saying he's unable to do that, but I'm just saying when you condition yourself to pull the ball down, that's not really conditioning yourself to be ready for the moment that you're going to have to make that throw. And you never really know till you get there anyway. So it's not like I can say he can't make it or he won't. But when you've got to be able to condition yourself, in my mind, as a coach, to make those throws. And I'm not saying there's a perfect guy in the country that can do that, because everybody now is dual threat. That's just the way it works, even in the NFL now.
Yeah.
Some of the top quarterbacks, with Kyler Murray and the kid over in KC, who can run the football.
Yeah.
But if you look at both of those, they can put the ball down the field when they want to do it without having to rely on legs to get them out of trouble.
Well, I feel like I'm talking about a no-hitter right now and don't want to jinx anything, but after the first game, everyone said, this guy, he can't run like this. He's going to get hurt, And here we are heading to the regular season finale, and he's been able to stay healthy. So.
Oh, yeah. And that's another element, too, as well, because, most running backs in the NFL, you don't last long because of the hits you take. And so as a quarterback taking them, I did a couple of Tulane games early in the year, and this kid down there loves to run the football. And it's great, and it's inspiring for his teammates. To see your quarterback tuck his head down, and, but I'm like, no. No, you don't need to do that. And those hits that they take, it's just not worth it to me in the end, because there's only one guy really you want behind center. You don't.
Well, Burrow in 2019, greatest team of all time, but that thing's real fragile. If he gets hurt, they're not winning the title, right?
Yeah, and
he
Burrow,
took some shots.
Yeah, but he's vastly different than most quarterbacks because of the time that he had in the college systems and the confidence he had putting the ball down the field with the receivers that he had. It was easier for him to not have to rely on mobility to make plays, and he did it out of necessity, which obviously you want that to happen out of your quarterback. You don't want it to just be a reactionary. And so he was very good at that, but he could also put the ball where he needed to do it at the time that he needed to do it, which is what ultimately wins the championship.
And he's also, a bigger guy too. That makes a big difference.
Yeah. I used to joke he was like Gumby, he would just bend and he would never break.
Right. He was big and flexible.
He took that one shot against Auburn. I don't know if you remember when he ran to the sideline in Tiger Stadium, and I was like, oh my God, there goes the season. And he popped up and ran right back.
The hard ones are always the ones that aren't as bad. It's the ones that you don't see and you don't know about. Like when you wake up Monday morning after a game and you're like, why is my thigh hurting? Like you don't even know why I got hurt because you got stepped on after you fell on the ground or something. It's like,
Andrew Whitworth told me the other day this was the first time he could get out of bed and not have to lean up against the wall or.
Well, tell him to wait about 5 or 6 or 8 years. No, I'm not kidding you, because I was watching my sons play a tennis match, and I tried to throw a ball over the fence that came out of the fence, and the pain level was out of 1 to 10, 8 and 6, and I'm looking at my wife like, that's just the arm. It's not to mention the hip and the knee.
And it's a tennis ball too. It's light, right?
Tennis ball. So yeah, tell them to wait a few years because that seems all great and wonderful, but everything starts to break down really quick. We were playing doubles for the first time in our life, and we couldn't remember who lined up on the forehand side every time we switched over to the other side of the net. And we're like, and also my sons are like,
his sons.
No, you're on that side, Dad. You're there, Todd. And every time we couldn't.
All right, Todd. I know I've asked you about it a million times. Let's make it 1,000,001. Tell me about the 80-yard catch and run against Texas A&M in 1990 from Chad Loop.
What's great when you have a big competitor come in and play. I think A&M was ranked 15th at the time. We were losing some games, so it's a good excuse for us to get up and try to show everybody what we're worth. And so I think that was a big motivation for us to just try to show out that game. And so we had a couple of special plays designed for me. They hid me at tight end, and I just did a little in and out and came out to the sideline and caught the ball. I think I raised my ball over some defender's head and spun around, and I saw Harvey Williams blocking downfield, and I thought I had a chance when I saw Harvey blocking. And so then I went down and I just cut back at one of the defensive backs, and I felt like I was lumbering towards the end zone because back then you barely made big plays like that, so it's different conditioning. And so I dove into the end zone, and Chris Truax was there, and it was a great moment for us in that time of the program where there wasn't a lot of big wins, and then we ended up going on to win the game, and so it was good. Those are just the memories that you hold on to. I had a big game, my last game in Tiger Stadium, so you hold on to those memories. It makes it all worth it, for the team.
Yeah, that was a record, the final home game, right? You catch 248 yards.
Tiger Stadium record, yeah. Until Booty came along 20 years later and broke it during COVID, I think. But anyway, yeah, it was a good time.
When I've talked to LSU athletes over the years about big moments, whether it's a home run in the bottom of the ninth or whatever, they say, I blacked out. I don't remember, what happened, or what is it? You got a helmet on, obviously. Are you hearing how crazy it's going in Tiger Stadium? Are you feeling that crowd noise when you do something like that?
You know that something exciting is going on, but in the middle of it, it is like it moves so fast. The next plays come.
You're hearing your breath in your own helmet as you're running.
It's all just what you're doing at the moment. Athletes have these different pictures of being in the arena, and so you know, you come out and you see the crowd before the game starts, and once the game starts, it's all a blur.
Plus,
it's
you have to remember that,
head down.
Like all these hurry-up offenses that you're talking about, it's very difficult to line up within 10 seconds and run that same corner route or that stop route, whatever it is, when you can't breathe and your legs are getting to the point where they don't move anymore in the course of a 6, 7, 8, 12 play series. There's a lot of fatigue that you're having to fight through. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was in Baltimore, first year in Baltimore, Marchibroda came in, Ted Marchibroda, no huddle offense. And I was fired up because I had an incentive-laced contract. My best buddy was the quarterback. First series, I'm walking back and Marchibroda's yelling at Kinchen, I'm like, Coach, I need a few games here to get used to this. So fatigue is a lot of times you're just trying to get air in your lungs and trying to make sure you can get your legs to go when it's time to snap the football.
You're thinking about those few basic steps you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's pure. I mean, you're survival out there. It's not military, but it's as close as it can get to where you're pushing your body to its limit every snap, every moment you're out there, most of the time.
And you have to be thinking critically the whole time
right,
as well.
And you have to go through every play, and then when they're going to check off, you got to look at the fronts. I mean, for me, and Todd is a sight adjust. If the corner's coming, I got to check and make sure who we can block, how many linebackers we can get. If we don't have one, I got to adjust. There's 1,000 different things that you have to go through in every play, and then you have to worry about physically doing it as best you can the right way. And so, it's not like, golf where you can mull it over, or baseball even where you're at the bat, you just bat, you got the bat, you're just sitting there just casual, just, your heart's up a little bit. But I mean, football, you're just always going, your heart's pounding out of your chest, your lungs are about to explode, and your legs won't go because you're putting every maximum effort into every play. And so that to me dilutes everything to where when I broke my leg, Harvey Williams hit me with I heard the ting as high as ting in the middle of 80,000 people in Tiger Stadium. So to me, I mean, you're honed into what the crowd's great and all, and only really when you're in a away stadium, especially for you out wide and me at tight end, you can't hear anything. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they're yelling or not. Now, when they start to yell, it's like you can't hear anything. So if Hudson or somebody's checking it off, I got to look up, and you got to come tap me, and that's the only time you really notice it when you're not at home playing in an away stadium in a hostile environment. It's brutal. People have no clue.
My last game in Tiger Stadium, I thought about that atmosphere and tried to soak it in and things like that. So my last game I did.
Well, my last game was the senior. Well, it wasn't my last game. I was hurt. Mm-hmm. I was telling this story this weekend, and I suited up in my full uniform, helmet and everything, and ran out. Or didn't run out, I hobbled out because I was a broken leg to take the picture. And then went back into the locker room, changed my street clothes, and went back inside of the boundary just to be able to be in my uniform for the last time in Tiger Stadium. Because I was never going to have that chance to play.
You didn't play in the Gator Bowl either, right?
No, I played in that one. Yeah. I played in Tulane game. Todd, I remember Todd carrying me off the Superdome, played against Tulane. I only missed 3 games after that broken leg. So
that was the first year I ever went to see LSU football games. Was 1987, and for a long period of time, it was the best team I ever saw. 10-1-1. Yeah. Hodson does a play against Alabama, and you have a tie against Ohio State. So in many cases, you were that close from being, Yeah,
back in the day, you couldn't lose or tie anybody. It was like if you had a blemish, you were done.
Yeah, that was number 5 in the country. I think we ended up
finished 5th in the country and blasted South Carolina in that bowl game. Tommy and Wendell Davis put on a show.
The only bowl game I won. I was 0 for 3 at that point. We had lost 2 Sugar Bowls and the Liberty Bowl.
Well, the statute of limitations is worn out. I heard those Nebraska guys were juicing like crazy, right? They were all on steroids. That's what a former LSU player told me.
No, I would not argue that.
It was like, we hit these guys, man. And it was like Ivan Drago. You're like, what's going on?
They were insane, man. Yeah, they had the kibosh on us for sure, because, man, that was the one knock on Orangeburger, or one of them, that the bowl teams, the bowl games did not go well.
In his defense, though, Todd, I mean, any player back in the day, I mean, you're taking a month or so off, and it's supposed to be a reward, and when you're in an SEC team, especially nowadays,
it didn't mean the same thing back then.
You're fair game, and so
you have the playoffs.
Yeah, but you're ready to go. You're ready to play. You're all prepared, but at the same time, you've been eating like a pig all week. Even at parties every night, because they have everything for the bowl.
They have so many activities planned in those old bowls now.
There's no way you could be
They don't let
effective.
them do that much now.
No.
You know, you used to go to the zoo. Every little thing you could do in a city, they would send you there during the week.
Yes, you'd never do it on your own. But we were all doing it as a team, going like, why are we here? Like, what did we do it? But that's just, so bowl games are great and all, but it's different now. It's just not, you can't, it's hard to weigh those. Like my dad and them, when they won the national championship, I didn't even know this. They won the national championship at the end of the regular season.
The game against Syracuse was...
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's nice that they won it, but had they lost it, they still would have had the title.
Yeah. Well, I remember when LSU, the playoff game against Oklahoma was technically the Peach Bowl. And Coach O was like, we ain't doing all that stuff. Like, you know, all the stuff they normally go to the aquarium and, you know, all that. It's like, we're at the hotel and that's it.
Well, now your final game, it decides your ranking for the next year. You know, so that's where you're gonna start in some ways.
Tell me about your touchdown against A&M in 1986 and your memories of playing the Aggies. I know you go way back in the
that's a pull. But I just remember A&M. There wasn't much that was thought of A&M back in the day. I mean, we never gave that much credence. I mean, it was just credence.
Just started that rivalry.
Yeah, because the first time we had played them, I think in '87, I think,
and they were like 7th in the country at that time.
And again, that's all external stuff like that we notice now on the outside. But when you're playing, you know, you kind of know. But it's like whatever. We're just, you know, it's the guy in front of me. That's who I'm beating. And so, as a tight end in short yardage and goal line, that's the play that you run the little corner route, the 7 route. That's what we call it. And it's usually off play action, so there's a pretty good chance you're going to be open. If not, you know, the quarterback can put it to the corner of the end zone, kind of like a fade route for a wide receiver. You know, you can catch the ball. And so every time that happens, you get that call. You know, your heart gets going. You're ready to roll because you're thinking this is maybe my chance and get a little corner route. And sure enough, I come out the break and I see the ball in the air because he's thrown it before I broke. And so I'm looking up, I find the football, and it's just a matter of getting your hands on it. And you know, it was great that it was in the student section, and it was great. But I just didn't think much of the victory over A&M. I don't know, back in the day. I mean, like I remember Notre Dame because you know it's Notre Dame. You know, we kicked their teeth in at home, and then we went up there, and I remember I planted one of their All-American linebackers on a double team, and I was like, "You're an All-American for real? Seriously? Like you're wearing this helmet? That makes you special?" And I was like, and so that I remember those, but A&M. You know, it didn't seem like that was a big a deal to me back then. I don't know.
Your parents are from that Notre Dame generation where, you know.
Right. And A&M, they hadn't been a part of our rotation. Even like we didn't even play Georgia back then. We didn't play Auburn. I mean,
that was the biggest catch of your career, right? The Georgia touchdown?
The Georgia game when I won that one, yeah. And I was the third option on that. I credit to Tommy. Well, credit to Tommy, discredit to the coaches that I was the third option.
It was a roll and he threw it back, right?
Yeah, but I was a crossing route. He was supposed to look at the I think it was the near side route and the crosser, and then I was the third. I was the rub guy. I was rubbing for the crosser who was he looking for. But yeah.
Well, let's wrap up here. So LSU, they've got this game at A&M, which they'll be the favorite to win. 10 wins for a team that lost the first game against Florida State. This is a hell of a turnaround and not really expected by anybody, except maybe Brian Kelly and the Tigers themselves.
Yeah, emotionally, it's been like 2 different seasons. The way that they started and the way that they're ending, such an emotional difference. So we're excited for them.
Yeah, and to me, all I think of is just those young kids. It's, you know, A&M's just been trounced. Was it 7 straight they've lost? They're still a good football team, you know, that's in there, and you know, I know the coaches are doing their job, but just those young kids, man, you just gotta make sure they're ready. Hope they're ready.
And then they'll play Georgia in the SEC title game, which they'll be a huge underdog in that game. I guess nothing to lose, playing the role of David against Goliath. But, you know, you get in trouble when you compare game week to week. Like, you know, Florida kills South Carolina, then South Carolina comes back and whips Tennessee. So when you compare scores, you get in trouble. But Georgia has shown perhaps there are some weaknesses there that LSU can exploit.
Oh, yeah. Well, last week, I mean, they looked awful. I mean, they could not move the football. And granted, you got to give credit to Kentucky's defense. They've done well all year. But if you told anybody that Georgia was going to score 16 against most teams in the country, you're going to lose, because nowadays 30 is a minimum, and most teams that get to 30, they're winning the game. So, yeah, they're not. I don't think they're as invincible as they were last year. But this Stetson Bennett guy, I like him a lot. He's very
Our
accurate with the
defensive
football.
coordinator is going to give us a chance. You know, he's done well in some situations, and
Well,
so
I think more
we've done
importantly,
pretty well.
we got to figure out how to offensively move the football, because that defense is just insane. Because they're not going to let you run the football, period. And we know throwing the football is not exactly our strong suit, but we got to figure out how to do that to be able to get that ball down the field.
And Brian Kelly, to his credit, he did say the transfer portal can either be great for your team or destroy it.
Yes, yes, without a doubt.
And in LSU's case, it's been real beneficial. But maybe on the flip side, A&M with the recruiting and the NIL and whatnot, somebody had a great line that said, if you buy players, they own you. And and maybe, you know, all those players that A&M took in, they're not, maybe their heart's not in it. You know?
It's just the camaraderie of the team. I mean, it's just the cohesiveness. And when you hear all those transfer guys coming in, that sounds really great. But they have to be able to blend into the culture of what you're trying to establish over there. And it's very difficult. But my biggest take now is the recruiting. And I was talking to Mike Leach about this weekend. They have to recruit the players on their own team to stay. To not go anywhere. And I'm like, that's insane. Like, you're not only worried about the guy down the street.
You have so many players that didn't have the NIL when they started. You have so many players that didn't have the NIL when they started, and so now they can just switch teams and make some money. You know, so.
Well, if the 90s were going on right now, somebody would come up to you and say, Todd, you're a real good player. Kevin Mawai, you're a real good player. Why are you sticking around with these losers? Come to Tuscaloosa, come to Georgia, come to wherever, right?
Yeah, that's just natural. For
and the handful that are
transfer.
getting them, and left tackle who protects your backside, maybe not. And like, wow, it's like, because the NFL, you're happy to be there. Everybody's making money in the NFL. I mean, granted, the quarterback's making a lot more than me, but you know what? I'm making a check. I've got severance, I've got pension. But in college, when one kid's getting nothing and some kids are getting some, it's like, man, and that dynamic's got to be hard to be able to deal with as a player and a coach.
It goes back to what you were saying in the star players and so on and so forth. But you used to have a star player, but he's just a part of the team. You know, he knows he's the star player, but still there's a lot of camaraderie. But when you add that money and you add all that other stuff on, and the media and social media and all that stuff.
Yeah, they're walking in with the bling every week, and you're like, wait a minute.
It's hard to keep the team together when you've got guys getting paid.
Because that's the element that people don't have any concept of, is that in the NFL, why can't they win without talent, with all that talent? Because there's no unity, there's no camaraderie, there's no team in the NFL.
A lot of individuals.
Even though we were on a team together in camp. I mean, I love my brother, but I don't really care. It's me. I want to stay on the roster. I want to have a.
Well, you're going to work. You may pick up a guy on Wednesday, and he's joining the workforce. I don't know this guy, but he's going to line up next to me on Sunday and try
that element of the team is
now
being challenged because of NIL and because of the transport portal that disrupts that continuity that you have to try to find. And it's not necessarily during the season. Yeah, you got to be good. But it's just like the NFL. You got to peak at the right time, just like LSU. As great as they were in the season, you got to peak at the right time to be able to get everything going in the right direction to give yourself a chance. Yeah,
we talked to an LSU assistant coach, and we said, well, that guy's got to understand if this guy gets a big NIL deal, he's a much better player than he is. And he goes, oh, no. They all think they're great. They all think they,
absolutely.
Without a doubt, And you hear about one quarterback taking care of his lineman down the road, and the other lineman here going, wait a minute, like, why aren't you taking care of us like he is?
Yeah.
So.
And we say, and some people say women are drama queens, right? I mean, guys, it's all the same, right? I mean, you know.
We're all human. We all have
Well,
our
that's
own.
what's good about being in the middle of it. You try not to think about all that exterior stuff, but it's so much easier with social media.
Well, they
now,
all have
you know?
families and stuff that are watching that stuff. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, why aren't you getting that? Why is he getting that? You
Yeah,
know?
totally.
So,
Yeah.
well, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming
Thank
down.
you.
Same to you,
Same
John.
to you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, and we'll see what the Tigers do the rest of the year.
Go Tigers.
Yes, sir.